Okay, so here we have 120 volt source, 240 ohm resistance on there. We're going to be using this Ohm's law. This is just the simplest, most basicest circuit, right? So how many ohms is this total circuit? 240 ohms. It's the same as this, because in a series circuit, we're just going to add them up, but this is just all of it right there. 240 ohms total. That's a T, like total. So how many amps are flowing through this circuit? 0.5 amps. 0.5 amps. And this 0.5 amps is going to be exactly the same at every part of this circuit. Every part of the circuit is going to have the same 0.5 amps. So I can go ahead and put 0.5 amps on the current flowing through this resistance. What's the voltage drop across this resistance? 120 volts. Okay, dropped across this resistance. All right, that's really, really easy. Now we're going to mix it up just a little bit. I'm going to turn this into a parallel circuit. Let's say that in this other parallel resistance, we're going to have another 240 ohms of resistance here. Is this stuff going to change? If I have 120 volts in between this point and this point, how many volts am I going to have between this point and this point? Is it going to be the same? It's going to be the same. Right? How many amps are going to flow through this? If I'm using Ohm's law, I want to find the amps. How many amps are flowing through there? 120 divided by 240? Same amount of amps, right? So I have 0.5 amps. So the only things that have changed, this is still going to be a 120 volt source, but now the amount of ohms total is going to be different. The amount of amps total is going to be different. Okay. Now what are we going to have in these two categories? How do I find the total resistance in this circuit? How do I find that? We can do that. Since they are the same value though, I can take that value and divide it by the number of current paths, okay? So 240 divided by 2 gives me 120 ohms. Now the total through here is 120 ohms. And if I have 120 ohms total, if I use Ohm's law to find the total amps, 120 divided by 120 gives me 1 amp. It's pretty simple, right? It gives me 1 amp. Okay, cut that one.